Oh, hello, boys and girls. How's everyone doing today? Good? Good. Hey, Caesar. Hey, Caesar, question for you here. Why do you think most Spanish speaking people in the United States live in this area down here? All right. My second and final question for you, Caesar. Why do you think most Hispanics living in the United States, again, live in that same area, the southwest of the United States? Why are they most heavily populated there? Well, Caesar, the answer is kind of why we study US history, because previous events can tell us about why things are shaped the way they are today. Guys, the reason most Spanish speaking and Hispanic people live in this area of the United States to this day is because it used to be a part of Mexico. And 13.3, the Mexican American War, tells the story of how America bullied Mexico into fighting a war it did not want to fight. And the end result was us taking the rest of this land and completing our manifest destiny. But the story of the Mexican American War centers and starts with Texas. So, Caesar, that's where we shall start. Texas actually started as a Mexican colony. It was a part of Mexico. You see right here, this colony right here was Texas. Like the United States had 13 colonies, Mexico had colonies, much more than 13, and Texas was one of them. The problem for Texans living there is that Mexico did not allow slavery. And many Texans who kind of viewed themselves as Americans wanted to use that good Texas land to grow cotton. As we've seen, it's very profitable. So when those Americans started flooding into Texas with the hopes of growing cotton, they started clashing with the Mexican government again, where slavery was illegal. And guys like Stephen Austin thought, what are we doing as a colony of Mexico? We have no representation in Mexican parliament. We're ruled by a dictator, Santa Anna. It's time we declare our independence and become our own country. And that's what Texas did. They declared their independence from Mexico and went to war, just Texas. You guys might have heard of the Alamo down in San Antonio. Remember the Alamo? Well, it was a famous battle in Texas's fight for independence, where for 12 days, about a couple hundred Texans fought off thousands of Mexicans. But after 12 days, not a single Texan was left alive. They were killed down to the very last man. But their heroic stance in fighting those thousands of Mexicans off for 12 days inspired the rest of Texans, and their rallying cry, became Remember the Alamo. Remember those Texans who gave their lives fighting for our independence. So eventually, Sam Houston and the boys from Texas gained their independence from Texas. And for almost 10 years, Texas was its own country, the Republic of Texas, with its own flag, constitution, government, and everything. And so after, again, they gained their independence from Mexico, Texas was on its own, not a part of the United States, not a part of Mexico. Now, fast forward about 10 years when the United States decides, hey, we would like to add Texas to our country. But we saw this in the last chapter. We can't add a slave state, which was what Texas intends to be, without keeping the balance and adding another free state as well. Enter Oregon, whose population is increasing by the day because of the Oregon Trail. James Polk, running for president, tells the American people, look, you vote for me, I will annex Oregon, I will annex Texas, we'll keep the balance, and we'll have more territory and two new states. Polk does, in fact, get elected. He fulfills his promise. He adds the Oregon Territory and Texas to the United States. And this, my friends, is what starts the Mexican-American War. Because once the United States decides to add Texas, now they have to draw the border with Mexico, and this is where it becomes a dispute. Mexico is willing to give up this little chunk here in yellow, but they think this little chunk here in green still belongs to Mexico. And that's again where the United States disagrees. This disputed area is what's up for grabs. Again, Texas is this chunk right here, and Mexico is willing to give that to the United States, but they are not willing to give this disputed area up. So the two countries go to war. And to be honest, the fighting is not that exciting. Mexico is overwhelmed pretty quickly. And a couple years later, not even, they surrender. And the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ends the Mexican-American War. And with the ending of the war, Mexico recognizes the independence of Texas, and they also cede, remember, they give the United States this chunk in green for exchange for about $15 million. So as a result of the Mexican-American War, we not only get Texas, but we get a part of New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, California, and Arizona. And then with the Gadsden purchase, this purchase of a little strip at the bottom of Arizona, Manifest Destiny was complete, and America had reached from sea to shining sea. And that, my friends, is a quick abbreviated version of the Mexican-American War and how the American Southwest, once belonging to Mexico, now was a part of the United States. So you see, my friends, we can understand why today most Spanish-speaking people, most people of Hispanic descent live in the American Southwest, because about 150 years ago, 200 years ago, that was Mexico. It was the Mexican-American War that changed that. I'm glad you're still awake and you've been paying attention. Thank you, my friends. Caesar, anything else you need to say? No. All right. Bye-bye.